Welcome into Behind the Tour, brought to you by All Blacks Tours. We're so lucky to be joined by a man who's been to a couple of Rugby World Cups, 54 caps for the All Blacks and a few extra games as well, Josh Kronfeld. Welcome into the show. Thank you for joining us. You are going to be a tour leader in France in a few months' time.
Oh, I've never been a tour leader of anything. You know
what kind of tour guide do you think you'll be?
I don't know. I'll talk a whole lot of crap for sure. I'll have an answer for everything, but it might not be right. That's probably me. No, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
I think in the back of my mind, I've kind of wanted to get on one of these tours for a long time. And I couldn't think of a better one than going to France, Paris, for a Rugby World Cup. And I know Paris and France quite intimately from historical times, and so, and uniquely as well, some of the sort of, I guess, the travel that I had in that period, you wouldn't get to do. And so I'm curious to see it as a genuine tourist and running my own tour game to see what crops up. What
is France going to be like for the fans?
Oh, look, I've been in France a few times with when they are playing their rugby, aside from when I was involved with rugby. And so like French Barbarians, South Africa versus France, and going and experience the big day. And they really embrace these big events. They've got the stadiums for it, and the people come in, and there's colour and noise. Like we think we do noise here in New Zealand. We don't do noise. Like everything's musical and loud and vibrant. It's a European Polynesian affair. The Pollies know how to do noise at a game, and the French do a similar thing, but with bands and trumpets, and it's really is unique. And I hope that satire comes through in this World Cup as well, where things have changed a lot since my tenure. Streakers were quite embraced, and now they're not. So
you want to see the streakers back in France? Is that what you're saying?
I've always enjoyed a good streak, even during the game.
Please keep your clothes on if you find yourself in that situation.
Oh, you're standing there and you look around and some guy's streaking across, and it makes you smile, and it's a break. It's a break from the intensity of what's going on, and usually everybody is captivated by it. Nobody's watching the rugby when someone comes on, and so I get it, but I always thought it was a shame that they made such a song and dance about stopping it.
So have we got any idea really what we're in for over there, both in terms of the rugby and everything that goes on around this incredible tournament?
Well, a few of those boys have done World Cups,
yeah.
So they'll understand that pressure and what's involved. But it is quite different to just your standard test week or whatever, because you're going into a foreign environment where you could even say hostile, and you're having to perform week in, week out, and create your own internal routines within this hostile environment. Mm. And it wears on some boys. Some boys really embrace it. Some struggle with it. And it's whoever finds the best union in that environment is usually the team that, you actually see them grow as they go through the tournament. But we've got a really tough first round, and then we've got to roll through, and it's not going to get any easier. And I would say we are this year kind of possibly looked at as the underdogs, which is kind of cool too. It's a nice little change up for everyone, rather than, you're the team to beat. So it's up to us to go over there and really perform and showcase and have some of our individuals really raise the bar or their hands and prove themselves on the world scene again. For some of them, it'll be reinventing, and some first time. So it's sensational.
We'll come back to France, but I'd love to hear more about your experiences at Rugby World Cups. What worked for you?
Oh, look, I always had lots of other things. I always had a drawing book.
Yeah.
So that was, I could get in there and draw little doodles and that's a bad choice of words here.
Doodling.
Doodling away there.
Not a drawing, doodling a doodle.
yeah, exactly.
This is the stories you're going to get everyone.
So and then I was always involved with the card games with the guys, and then I was also really quite proactive sometimes, and not always, but proactive in going and exploring and checking stuff in the immediate vicinity of wherever you're staying. Sometimes it's hard because with World Cups they actually take you away from all the public, and then the other World Cups you're right in the middle of it all. So again, you create two dynamics. I don't know which I prefer. Because they've both got merits for different reasons. If you're in the hub and you can feel the energy, you kind of live and breathe it and you grow with it. But some find that daunting. And then on the flip side, if you're away from everything, you just have no idea. So whenever you come into that environment, it's quite an onslaught to the psyche. And again, that's intense. But a World Cup final. Being involved in those are just sensational. I'm fortunate to have been involved in one, and it wasn't one that went quite our way, but also probably the most unique World Cup, and I don't think there'll be another one like it. As much as France is going to be cool, I cannot foresee anything being like that 95 World Cup.
Is that because of, it was before professionalism for one, obviously the post-apartheid era. What was it about 1995?
It was all those things, I think, in terms of showcasing a new brand of rugby, the All Blacks were forthcoming on that. I don't think anyone thought you could play test level rugby in that style. Now it's really common. Do you know what I mean? Where you're creative and you're doing phase play, you're running moves, your individuals are doing exciting, dynamic stuff. Jonah Lomu, superstar stuff. That it was pretty special in that respect. And then on the flip side, and I always understood there was an undercurrent of something going on in South Africa at the time. It wasn't until we got back into New Zealand and everything panned out the way it did. Invictus, the movie came out, the books were released, and we got to understand how intense South Africa was at that time. Because all we saw was like a black population that was really pro the All Blacks. Everywhere we went, they'd be outside the gates, going, go black. And then on the flip side, you'd turn up to the test matches or the games and you'd have the big white balls or, spitting on you. It was such a contrast. And the energy of people walking around with guns, and everywhere we went was armed security and razor wire, 15 feet high. And so there was all these contradictions going on. And they're saying, no, we're a rainbow nation, we're together. And it clearly wasn't that in front of us. The whites were over there and the black people were over there. Mm-hmm. And so as a Kiwi, our team was coloured, to use that word. That we were all different shades of white through to brown, and so and that's we've always known that, we've always understood that. But for the black population in South Africa, they identify with it, And so when Nelson Mandela did his walking down in the number 6 jersey, the whole, I guess, nation just got on board that one game. And then there was the sickness, and it was just.
We won't go into that.
I know, but you know what I mean. There was just so many little flavours. Yeah. And even the weather for South Africa's journey against France, and the questionable try. There was just all
so much,
and that's what makes great World Cups.
You had a team of superstars, but one person in particular, Jonah Lomu.
Oh yeah.
What was it like being in the same team as this global superstar?
Oh look, Big J. He was just next level as a footy player, in terms of the way he just attacked the ball. But for me, I guess, when you play with those sort of stars, He's just Big J.
He's Big J.
Yeah, I know.
To everyone in the whole world, he's Jonah. To you, he's Big J.
You know, like he's just...
You make him sound even cooler than he was.
Yeah, you know. Like he was the guy I went and watched movies with, you know, and he'd tell me stories about his boombox and, you know, and his cars and stuff like that. And some of the stories of growing up, which were kind of semi-horrific, you know, from where I'd come from.
Yeah.
But he was great, you know, and he was just a fun character in the team. And look, there was actually quite a few stars in that team from that World Cup, and Jonah was just the pinnacle of that.
So if we're talking stars, who will be the star of the Rugby World Cup in France that you'll get to see? Ooh. You're going to be there live.
I don't know. Like it's you know, obviously it's always really nice to see new players come on the block.
Yeah.
And there's timeline between now and this World Cup, and we'll start to see who's going to emerge. But there's a couple of characters that are in this new, you know, the new ones into the All Black, or just kind of fringy. They, you know, got introduced last year, and they've got real opportunity to kind of raise their hand and go, "Hey, world, here I am." And
is that because of personality or the way they play?
Oh, just the way they play.
Yeah.
And I think their personality plays a part. You know, Jonah's personality just definitely played into his, you know, what you saw on the field, you know, the big headphones and, you know, all serious. And then, you know, when he's not got the headphones on, he's the big happy giant, you know. So it was, yeah, I'm curious to see. And then, of course, it's not just our team.
Yeah.
The French has got a whole lot of unique individuals, and they'll come to the forefront, and the media will just explore them, and it'll grow. And then obviously Ireland, there's some historical characters in there that, you know, chance to prove that they've still got it because they're an elder team. But we know that most World Cup winners have an elder team that usually goes through and takes it.
These 3.5 Kiwis that are coming on tour with the All Blacks tours, and tickets are so scarce. There are a few left though, and you can go on allblackstours.com to find those last minute packages. When you're a player, did you feel the Kiwi influence there? Did you feel like always. That heartbeat of the nation? Always.
Like my mum and dad came on the 95 World Cup, and you if you've ever been to, it's just like a cauldron goes straight up, and it's just sheer noise. You come on, there's nothing like it. It's just like you're just stuck in the middle of it when the crowd's going wild. But you have these little quiet moments in between a kick. And I heard my dad across everyone.
No, you did.
Yeah. Oh boy! It was just like, well, that's my dad's voice, you know. So that's the beauty. Like there's people. There will be groups of people that have gone to every World Cup, you know, for the last 20 years, and so they'll be there. And then there's the young newbies that have going, well, we've got access to tickets, we're going, and they'll be coming from Europe or whatever, and you know they'll be doing their OE, and there'll be, and then there's the diehards that are just following the World Cup, and the Kiwis are quite keen to make themselves heard in a big crowd, you know, and so that's great. And you know, and why wouldn't you get excited about a World Cup? You know, even if you aren't a contender for the finals, it's pretty exciting, you know. And you see things like was it 2015 the Japanese against South Africa? That's probably the great, you know, the final was nothing.
One
really.
of the greatest ever stories in world rugby.
Yeah, and then and when you know the story from 4 years earlier, it's even more momentous. So one of those will happen this World Cup. Something will come on board, and we'll all discover the story, and we'll get to witness it, and that's special.
Do you have a favourite Rugby World Cup moment then, either something that you were a part of or something that you've been lucky enough to see as a fan, just like that miracle in Brighton? That was just unbelievable.
Look, you know, I loved just watching that. I was over and working in that period, and it was mind-blowing. And I still to this day, I cannot believe that they got that over, you know, It was
Japan beat South Africa.
I know.
The minnows.
It was stunning and special, and I think too, just knowing Michael Leach, like knowing him, and it gives you something to identify with. If you know an individual in a team, it definitely makes you kind of,
It's special.
Yeah, you buy into it. But I said, for me, out of all the World Cups, I can't go past 95. I mean, Nelson Mandela walking down the line, shaking hands, the craziness of the team against England, like there was a history of the 93 at Twickenham, the boys were still hurting, and like I've never seen an energy like that in an All Black side. I played 54 times for them, and I've never did that replicate once.
That semi-final.
Why?
What was different that week?
There was almost a sort of psychoticness to it. Like you remember looking up at the team, last moments when the leaders are saying their last bits, and Zinzan was literally frothing at the mouth, and he looked like a bloody rabid dog, and then all the way through that whole week leading up, I think, I was the youngest member of that forward pack, but every single person that was older than me was reminding me of my job.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was going, oh yeah, I've got it. You're only the 15th person to tell me the same thing. You know what I mean? So, and that was kind of different too. They were just so worried that I wasn't going to be on song, but how could you not? It's a World Cup, and so just the energy going into that game was quite unique.
You're literally giving me goosebumps sitting here.
Oh, that's good.
When you sit back and actually think about those times and those moments, how do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've changed a little bit. I'm more in the moment now. And I don't think about it too much. I just go in the moment and experience it. So I'm not putting undue pressure on making sure I enjoy myself. Yeah. I want the whole day to offer up how it offers up. There's nothing for me more beautiful than if you go down and you're watching schoolboy rugby, and maybe you've had a little involvement with their coaching. You've just kind of given them a few little tips, and they replicate what you've coached them, and they score a try, and there's genuine joy, and they're jumping, and they're slapping hands and whatnot, and then they come back, and one of them will see there and you go, did you see? And you go, yeah, I saw it, man. And
those moments,
they're the special. They definitely give me goosebumps, and it's because that's just sheer enjoyment in the learning of the game, and that's pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, scoring a try in a World Cup's always pretty cool too.
So we're going to see a lot of tries. We're going to see a lot of rugby action and these moments that just make us feel different. But away from the rugby, during the week, you get to take people to some of the best tourist destinations. Yeah. You're going to Champagne, which is like the most world-renowned wineries in the world.
Yep.
Do you like Champagne?
I'm capable of drinking it.
What's that tourist champagne going to be like?
I think for me, it's to be experiencing it in France and Paris. I've been on the Seine, and it's a part that whole river at night is like a party. Like they have these massive boats that don't even move off the river, but they just like fit 3,000 people just having like a nightclub, So
it's going to take you back to your Dunedin days.
Oh, I don't know about Dunedin
being
days.
On the Seine.
But it's just beautiful. The lights and the old buildings, it's quite unique. And I think if you can, my tip, when you do France, try to do it as French as you can, because it opens you up to all the really unique things. And the French, when you try to be speak the language and you try and get involved in what is to be French, they drag you and they love it. They absolutely love it. And so you get an opportunity to do something that's probably more unique than just the standard tourist because you've tried real hard to be French, Well,
let's give it a go then. Bonjour, Josh.
No, my parlez-vous français is Pookie? Man, I don't know, I can't even remember.
What about the food then, the escargot, the baguettes, the coffee?
I'm notorious for just ordering real French.
Yeah.
So I've done the snails. Escargot is pretty good. But they're just garlic and butter, like who doesn't like garlic and butter, and there's a few other dishes. I mean, they eat a lot of intestine stuff. In New Zealand we don't. No, we don't. But I'm game to try everything, and they have all these rich sauces that go on those sort of dishes, and so if I go out, I definitely order the stuff I shouldn't eat. And then sometimes you get it wrong. I've done it before.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah, it's part of the experience. But if you're swilling it around with a big bottle of Bordeaux or Côte d'Ivoire or something like that.
You're taking us there. Yeah. You're really taking us there.
Yeah, it all goes down good.
So Josh's number one top travel tip for France is actually become French. Embrace it.
Yeah, just get amongst it. If they're having a party and you think that looks good, get involved in the party, I reckon.
This is so good.
No, look, one of my favourite memories of France, Jean-Pierre Rives.
Yes.
So absolute legend of French rugby and one of the main figures of French Barbarians, and because that was their team that it was based on back in the day, where they had a Grand Slam win in this, I think the 70s. I said I'd like to stay a little bit longer, so I played for them. We beat South Africa. It was a big deal for them, and they says, "Yeah, no problem, Josh." And so they put us up in this hotel, and I think it's where all the when the Nazis were in France, that's where their headquarters was, and they've left all the bullet holes, and It was all of it Victorian, and it looks straight out over the what's the big square? Is it Champs-Élysées? Yeah, something like that. One of those big names, and then you can see the Eiffel Tower in the corner. It was all there, and it was just amazing. And then we went to go, and then got picked up. And every night I was going to a different venue with, the people of Paris, sort of thing. And anyway, I got picked up for the test match, and I just met Jean-Pierre's partner at the time, and she spoke really good English, and so you can see where the stadium is, but he couldn't quite work out how to go there. And so we're driving, and there's hardly anyone driving. Everyone's walking. Anyway, we turn up this road, and we start driving up the road, and this gendarme comes out, no. He just pulls us over, and there's like this heated argument in the window, and Jean-Pierre's going, I just want to go to the... and so his partner's, feeding it back to us in English. And they're having this banter, and he's going up the one way, the wrong way, and he's going, yeah, but I just want to go up there, and everything like that. And then he works out that it's Jean-Pierre Rives, and he goes, no problem, just go up here and park in front of the stadium. And so that was it.
Oh, wow.
Only in France. Could you imagine doing that at Edinburgh? Probably not.
No way. So, do you have a favourite French player? Or maybe it's someone that you just can't stand?
Nah. Look, I'm not good at that sort of thing. I just love watching people rise. I'm going to follow the French and watch what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're in our first pool.
Yes.
So, I'm going to be curious, and I feel like whoever loses the pool will go on and end up winning the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. So you want the All Blacks to drop the first game?
No, I don't want them to drop it. I want to be proven wrong, to be honest. But I just think my theory is that if whoever losers between those two teams, if they had to play again, I don't think you could lose twice to them. I think you'd be able to work out the number. I said the same thing with the South Africans, and whoever lost, and of course they did, and they went round and won the World Cup. Yeah. So, but the All Blacks didn't even make it there. So they had that. There was that English moment. It was like a role reversal from '95.
Finally, Josh, we've talked about French food, we've talked about French wine, French fashion. Things to pack on your trip. You have just turned up from West Auckland as, I reckon, the fanciest guy living in the West. We haven't seen your leather jacket yet. So what will you be packing for France? What are the essentials for your trip for the All Blacks? I don't know,
because France gets, Paris especially gets really cold. And so I'll definitely have a nice overcoat.
What colour? Beige or?
No, I've got a grey one, but to be honest, I've got an Eden Park overcoat, which obviously is French, and it's really, really warm. So I might just chuck that in, and it looks good too. So that's a good, I don't know. Maybe I'll buy some stuff over there.
You're so stylish anyway, though. Anything you pack.
Oh, yeah. No, if you'd seen what I was wearing before I got dressed to come here, I had a pair of old 1996 All Black Test shorts on, and a Raglan surf hoodie. So... good combo.
A combination, exactly. Well, you've outdone yourself. I am so excited for you to be an All Blacks tour leader and during the Rugby World Cup. It's just going to be unbelievable, isn't it? And hearing your stories, how can you not get excited?
I'm excited about it. I'm excited for me too.
We're all excited for you. There are a few last-minute tickets available, but they are like hen's teeth because, as I mentioned, 3,500 Kiwis have already booked to go over to France. Jump on allblackstours.com to check out the very limited packages available. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. You're going to get a whole lot more of this. We didn't even scratch the surface during this.
100%. I've got plenty of stories.
This is Behind the Tour. Thanks for watching.